right, we already saw a kind of a surprise, Rogue making it out first place in our group, and now we have to find the first player who will be eliminated. It's Classic versus Dark in the losers match.
Classic and Dark here. I'm not sure what condition Dark is in against somebody like Classic. I'm still leaning on him as the winner, leaning towards him, I should say. Classic came here with some crazy builds, especially that one where he took the gold base and tried to do an Immortal Rush. But of course, that build's now out of his toolkit. He can't go back to that later on today and expect to have
no more surprises.
Any effectiveness. Maybe some surprises, but nothing like that. I don't think, at least.
Yeah, so Rogue is one of the, or Dark is one of those kryptonite players for Classic. Classic did beat him in like February, but the time before that, that Classic beat Dark was in 2015. So it has been years since Classic has had the ability to beat this guy. Dark looks to have a huge advantage coming into this, especially in a matchup that Classic is very weak in right now.
Classic sitting in a group that is swamped with the best Zerg players there are. He's had nothing but PvZ to prepare, but no matter how much you prep, can you take out all three of these Zergs? It's going to be tough. Let's see how he does against Dark in game number 1. In the bottom right in the blue, our only Protoss today, he is
Classic.
Long road ahead of him. He's going to climb his way out, avoid elimination here against this guy. This other guy.
In the upper left in the red,
Dark.
Getting second place at BlizzCon in 2016 in a fantastic finals against Beyond. Going with his pirate shirt right this time around.
That is true. Dark, one of the fashion Zergs. He's got some good.
He's got some good taste. I'll give him that.
It's true. Not like that guy. He's tasty.
No, man. No, definitely not like me, man. Nothing on me. So let's see if Classic does anything crazy at all in this series. I think the problem with going up against Dark is when you get to the super late game, I feel like Dark is the best.
Oh yeah. Especially versus Protoss, and you know, maybe in ZVZ it's hard to get to the late game where Dark is very strong, but late game Zerg versus the other races is just his forte.
Yeah, it really is. Core coming down now along with the Nexus. Of course, this is all par for the course here in a PvZ. We've seen some experimentation here where Oracles are stocked up and try to come out here and do damage. I just feel like Dark is just like the scariest guy out there. When it comes to teching up and also usually holding almost any kind of harass. Now, we saw ZVZs where he faltered, but that's really a different matchup from a ZVP, you know?
Right, and you see this third base coming out here early for Dark. He, at this point, is really relying on the ability to build spore crawlers to hold off against any early Oracle harass. And I had somebody ask me before this show when we were doing the bunker taste list, how many Oracle memes are we going to see out of Classic? I was watching WCS Challenger earlier on today where Scarlet switched to Protoss, right? So
I know she actually is quite good with Protoss. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, and she made like the sickest Oracle meme beams I have ever seen. Had over 50 stasis wards on the map against her opponent. It just looked so strange. But here back in Korea, these guys have kind of figured out how to play ZVP against that strategy. So even though there is that Stargate opener for Classic, I wouldn't really expect to see too many more after that.
Yeah, that seems like one of those, almost like a flash in the pan build order.
Yeah, it comes
where you come out, you hit everybody, nobody knows what the hell is going on, and then they adjust and things kind of normalize and that build fades away. But it's kind of a cool representation of how in the meta in StarCraft 2, something can crop up and screw everybody up and then get pushed back out for a little bit.
Man, what is it about scouting today? Players just missing things by the hair. Their Overlord Chinny Chin Chin not able to get in there and scout that Stargate. So we won't know exactly about it, but I think at this point you expect the Stargate opener.
It's just an overextension here for Classic. It seems like he's going to lose both of these. Now he's getting some drones, but only 3 drones for 2 Immortals, 2 Adepts. So those Adepts not even paying for themselves.
Observers showing that the the Stargate was unscouted, Oracle already on the way, but like I said earlier, versus Classic specifically, as a Zerg player, you're just always going to build these Spore Crawlers. And you see the counterattack coming across the map right now. This is a big weakness of especially mass Stargate, but also lots of Oracles. If you don't save one back home, you can be in some trouble.
Well, also just losing your Adepts like that. I mean, if you want to take a third base and get that set up, you need to have those Adepts last, or at least have killed enough drones that it was worth it. Because, yeah, when they get back there, if they end up defending the third Nexus, what do you, I'm sorry, if the Lings end up killing the third Nexus, assuming he wanted to get one, that's problematic. And even if there is no third Nexus made right away, okay, well then you know for sure, and then you brace yourself for a 2-base timing.
Well, here we can see the next tech path that Classic is going to take. Twilight Forge and Robotics on the way. So no more Stargates, at least for the time being. Carriers late game, but for now, Classic has gotten map control with that one Phoenix pushing around all the Overlords, released air control with that, and now he's going to come in, lift up a Queen, but uh-oh, spoiler alert, there's more than one.
Uh-oh, spoiler. There you go, man. People had to mute for a quick, so they're like, up! And they see.
Yeah.
I gotta say, oh, well, he actually is going to get this one set up here. Now,
wow,
only
he pulled the Queen away.
3 kills. Let's see, now the Oracle going down here kind of nullifies the success of the Oracle attack. Warp Prism coming up along with the 4th base. Now, it's not good to lose any Oracles. It's not the end of the world because he still has 1. You want to keep tagging the army after this point in time.
Yeah.
And let's see how he does from here on out. I mean, Zerg's still gearing up. Zerg can't really do that much. This Nexus is going to go down with 6 more gates coming up here, and that's when the Protoss can start to actually try to come out with some real damage dealers that don't just take out workers in retreat, but can actually start to push.
Yeah, I wouldn't call this an all-in or anything, but with 6 gates plus 1 and Zealot legs on the way, I mean, Classic is really powering up at this point. Now, Dark on the other side is as well. He's got a bunch of Hydras and Zerglings, which could be Banelings in the near future, coming in. And with this Archon drop to kind of buffer between...
Did he see that?
I think he did.
I think he might have seen just the edge of that.
Yeah.
But Archon drops can be pretty handy, and then you follow this up with a lot of Zealots with pressure. Now, sometimes Zergs are gearing up for Hydra Bane to do a lot of pressure on the front, but this can start to do damage before it becomes too effective. Now, of course, Hydras can just gun down the Warp Prism.
Right, and... Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. He's actually just going to go for a push. I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to try to do some harass around the edges, but this is actually fine as well.
No, he's going to get a cancel on the 4th, so at least that is a minor victory. But, yeah, you would have put the Archons in the Warp Prism, I think.
+1 with the Zealot legs is going to be coming in.
This is such a sick timing. Archon's in the front to buffer with Speedlot's going to be wrapping around there as well. Maybe waiting for one more warp hit, but he's waiting for this +1 upgrade to a finish. It's kind of an anti-timing. He's attacking before that upgrade is done. There's a lot of Queens. Great transfuses in the front. The Queens take everything. The Hydras deal the damage.
I think the funny thing about that is even though it was sort of like you were saying, an anti-timing because +1 wasn't done, there also weren't any Lings at that. Oh!
No! What?
I don't even understand. That is not acceptable. That... Well, never mind what I was talking about earlier, because that's the real story, is losing the Warp Prism. Storm is coming, but does Zerg have enough momentum to just come in here and smash him now? 2 Archons in that Warp Prism.
Oh, that is, I mean, I'm just kind of overwhelmed by just all the badness right there. Like, this is that same feeling that Obi-Wan Kenobi had when the Death Star killed Alderaan. It's like suddenly just something somewhere just went so wrong, and now Classic really has to hold on for dear life. I mean,
I don't even know what happened. I mean, clearly that was on its own hockey, but how did he end up with that headed northbound, knowing the Hydras were there? Well, he's going to try to come in again. You know, the problem is you need enough meat here for these Archons to really do the damage. It's actually, with this position, just 1 pylon.
Oh my
cannon up in such a way that that's the real range attacker. And, I mean, he can target that down if he wants.
Yeah, they...
Okay, he actually might have outlasted him. I think, yeah, Zerg goes ahead and backs up. But, you know, when you lose that Warp Prism, I hate to harp on it this much, but, you know, you're going for Warp Prism, Archon, Zealot. And the Archons are, in a lot of ways, the central unit. That, you know, the Zealots are there to soak damage for the Archon. That's just too much damage. He's going to get the Cybernetic score as well. Oh, I would have.
Ooh, No, you have to take that down. That's such a big hit, but better to have the positioning and not let yourself get sandwiched there. Classic was a little bit out of position, staying up there at the third, but with all these lurkers morphing in.
So sick.
I mean,
this is a great response to this, right? Because
exactly.
the Zealots are just going to die no matter what. They're not useful whatsoever against lurkers, and Archons are handy, but with Hydras backed by the lurkers, I mean, I guess there's an amortal or an amortal. There's an immortal.
He's amortal. He's neither mortal nor non-mortal.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't even. Just non-mortal.
An unmortal.
Yeah, an unmortal. There you go.
He's mortal. It's just two mortals here. He's going to try to come in and hit this base.
You're going to be the money storm.
He does have storm, but I don't think.
He doesn't have any vision.
Oh my god!
I don't think he has an observer.
Yeah, well, he could still storm it and do damage, assuming that the upgrade gets done in time.
Okay, we'll see how well.
I don't think he has the energy to do it.
Yeah.
Just yet.
No, this base just gets absolutely overrun. I think Classic does not have enough storms to stop all of these lurkers and hydras.
He should have 2 in a second here, but I mean, this is pretty straightforward. By the way, he's getting banelings behind this. There's the storm, but I mean, these lurkers aren't even really taking full damage from the front here, so everything's going to get eliminated. We should have there it is, GG. Dark takes game 1, easy peasy.
Wow.
Lurker squeezy.
We did squeeze him there at the end, Tasteless. That just was kind of a confusing mid-game there for Classic. He attacks right before his upgrade's done, and then he loses the Warp Prism there, and all of a sudden Dark just realizes he doesn't have enough to hold on. And sure, he held the first attack, but the follow-up with all those lurkers, I mean, that's just kind of the unit of the day for Dark, and he's used them very effectively both times.
Classic is feeling the heat. This guy is the only GSL Codex champion in this group, but guess what? It's 2017, Season 3. This may not be his time anymore. Pirate Dark over here, swashbuckling his way to the final match, making Classic walk the plank.
Well, he's going to be at risk of doing that. The next map in the pool is Mech Depot, and while there are no Terrans here for me to make stupid jokes about, there are...
Not even Artos is here to talk about Mac.
Absolutely not. Somewhere, that's what he's doing right now. He wakes up in cold sweat in the middle of the night and he's like, hey, family.
He thinks about Mac and he's like, he hugs his stuffed siege tank and goes back to bed. He's like,
He's got one of those. Well, we'll see if Classic has a chance here as he goes up against Dark, a player who has historically just had his number. Currently, that number is 1 up in this series.
In the bottom left, in the blue, our only Protoss player.
Classic.
And he may be, in fact, just classic and not modern anymore here in StarCraft 2. He's very close to elimination.
Well, I mean, when one of the last times you beat this guy is 2015, it's a classic ways away.
Dark.
Has been his kryptonite. Every single time they meet, it's just such a huge matchup in favor. And even the matchup, Classic just really struggling versus Zergs right now.
Yeah.
When they were playing that group selection ceremony video, you heard them talk about this being his nightmare, because it's just all these players who just know how to beat up on this guy.
Well, every once in a while, even the very best of the best will have a matchup that they suddenly get stumped in.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they have to tear down all the foundational knowledge they have of how that matchup operates and start over.
Well, what's also interesting is that, okay, well, maybe he's stumped in this matchup, but for a while, like maybe a solid week, Classic pulled out this 3-base, 3 Stargate Oracle build that was just busting everybody. It just wasn't even close. Nobody knew how to stop it until one day, Rogue, I think, was the first player who just really figured that out. And from there on out, Classic would go on to never win again with that Mass Oracle style. So maybe this is the game he brings it out and tries to make it a surprise, but you need something to beat a player like Dark, who's just really had his numbers. This early third bases, holding every attack. Look good.
Well, also, I think the Mass Oracle, I'm not trying to be hard on it too much, but it is a little bit gimmicky, I feel like.
Yeah.
I feel like this is not something where it's like all the Protoss players look at each other and nod and say, now we will only do this. There will be a new meta, a new era of PvZ. I think, fundamentally the way the Oracle operates, it does so much damage so fast. If you get a bunch of them at once and they're just not used to seeing a bunch of them at once, they can miscalculate and then the game landslides so hard because the damage they deal comes out so fast.
It really does. And then if you pool them and they're not scouted, they just come in and kill hatcheries. It's a bad time. But for Classic, he has liked to do this Oracle Phoenix Oracle opener with a Stargate. That's what he's kind of been going to as his opener, at least today. It's got to work better this time around. One thing you see Dark here doing pretty consistently versus Protoss.
Wait, I'm sorry, did he get a Stargate this game? I don't see one.
No. Okay, yeah, there's Twilight
first. Twilight this time around here.
What a departure from what we expect.
I don't really blame him. Probably, again, the big problem for Classic is it's not just, normally I say, oh, he's at an advantage in this group because he only has one matchup, but it's the three best Zergs in the world right now. Yeah. And they all get to watch him play, right? So every time he does one build, he's got to deviate and try to do another one. And it's hard to become this unpredictable.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially when you're playing in a lot of tournaments against these guys. Dark just beat him in a tournament a couple weeks ago, and now he has to go up against the. Oh no, it's on a tight wall. What is that? The Zerglings are going to get all the way into the main.
That's all he had to do. He's going to see no Stargate. He sees the upgrade over here.
Yeah, so he's going to know that it's most likely either Charge or Glaives on the way. You might expect Charge, but oh no, he didn't kill the Zerglings.
Well, he's also good. Well, you can see he doesn't make the Robo now. Well, this is just horrible for Classic. Some of it does go down to the wall in there, or lack thereof.
I can't believe that wasn't a tight wall. I mean, that's like.
Well, was it misposition?
Yeah, sure. The Oracle or the Adept was not in position to block that. It was just a tiny bit away. It looks like it's a full wall up. It's not a full wall up. It's the story of every StarCraft Remastered game I play.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, don't even get those kids started on, though. Try to wall it in Remastered.
Well, that's a little bit heartbreaking there. Mostly, also, the seeing that spinning means that it's an instantaneous Baneling nest on the way. You'd need Banelings to defend against either mass Charge Lot or mass Adepts with the Glaive upgrades. So morphing those back at homes, Dark is just so safe. Even a fourth base on the way.
This is a pretty elementary response that's completely and totally appropriate from the Zerg. You look at this and you know what your tech is. You know that the attack is inbound. It's not like they're going to sit around all day powering up on this, and you should be able to shut it down. And if you do shut it down, which I think Dark will, assuming that Protoss does commit, and if Protoss doesn't commit, then it's sort of an awkward game overall, right? Because he doesn't have any definitive tech besides a Robo that's only really here to make a Warp Prism to give this build a lot more momentum. But once you shut this down, and I think, like I said, Dark should and probably will, then the counterattack can end up rolling over the third base.
Oh, it really can, Tasteless, and I feel like going back into what we said earlier, for Classic, he needs to find something new to do. He figured out that Oracle style is like, okay, that doesn't work. So he tries, right? He doesn't go for the Stargate at all, which for Classic is a real departure, and then he just gets scouted and loses his third base.
So this is actually the reverse order of what I thought was going to happen. He's going to get this base first, and then I think he should hold off this attack on the next, on this expansion, unless he miscalculates.
Dark might not get that base. It's going to be really close there behind.
Oh no, he should get that. Yeah, he gets it.
Okay.
He's fine. He's fine.
Okay, all right. I was way off on that one, Tasteless.
Well, the problem now is that, you see, he sees the Banelings, right?
Yeah.
There's enough Banelings that the Zealots just explode. He's making some more Archons. But I think that you just keep making Banelings and Lings, right?
Yeah.
And with a Hydrotech slowly coming into play, I mean, this is... Maybe he has perfect control. I can't imagine he does. Maybe if Innovation comes in here and splits all the Zealots exactly perfectly, then he doesn't lose as badly.
Yeah,
this is just really... It's really hard to imagine this attack working. But, I don't blame Classic for just trying to double down on this rush, because that's all he can really do.
I mean, Classic...
Now, is Dark getting too ambitious by trying to counter again here with these Lings? It's going to be a little bit less to help defend. We'll see.
There's just not a lot at home for Classic. He has pulled everything, and he's going to start to go in there. There's a lot of Banelings, and they do explode on that Archon. It's not the greatest trade there, but, I mean, that's a lot to buffer, but Banelings, great at defense. Are they good enough, though?
Yeah, well, he's just taking out these Archons here. The hatch is going to go down. I believe production from the Zerg should be fine enough that the remaining units do come in. Am I wrong? Am I going to eat my words here?
So a few of these queens are going to go down, so it's decent damage done. But behind this, Classic has had his third base canceled again and lost all the workers at it.
Yeah, and the Lings are still hitting this expansion over here. Now, there's a bunch more hydras that hatched up here. Keep in mind, if he gets rid of the Warp Prism, and he does, then there's no more reinforcements. There's one Archon. Well, there was one with no shields. Okay, so this will be held off, and we might even expect Classic to tap out now.
Yeah,
I think he's well aware of his position.
You guys might have heard the Korean caster just scream as that Warp Prism goes down. They can get away with that. I don't think we can quite do that. But it's a big moment.
This is different cultures in casting. If we were like, wow,
I really hate it when Tasteless just yells all the time. What is he trying to do there?
I do yell a lot, though.
Doesn't he try to just talk about the game like good casters?
In defense of my critics, I do yell a lot, actually.
That is true.
But in that moment, it's so more than clear that that's not even the climax.
No, it's like, okay, well, it's going to die. There's 8 queens there. Surprise!
And, you know, I guess, look, I mean, I feel for Classic here, right?
Yeah.
This is possibly his last game of any GSLs this season. It looks quite probable that it is, but he's got to try, right? He's got to hope maybe he can wiggle his way into some kind of a lead, but it just seems so futile.
Yeah, I mean, especially like you see this the third time he's trying to throw down this third base. It's been canceled twice and right on time. Dark just knows instantly he's trying it again, and it will not be successful.
Dark is just everywhere. This is the worst feeling if you're a player like Classic to play against this, where you know you're trying every move that's available to you, and you're watching it get shut down in a matter of seconds later on. Zerg is just deny,
Yeah.
until eventually.
He's killing with Banelings. This is hilarious.
Well, you can do that, or he'll kill the Zealots. I mean, there's so many ways to skin this cat, man. 4 base Zerg versus 2 bases and a hopeful third here for Protoss, but it's just not enough.
Watch this. Banelings just go in and kill absolutely everything. The Zealots try to kind of split off there to the side, but it's just the entire
Oh my God.
Zerg. Oh no! Wow, that could have been way worse. It's
There it is.
bad.
GG as those Banelings go for the pylon that was powering the remaining 2 gates in the Robo.
Yeah.
No more Protoss this group. We have the rematch, Dark versus Suit, coming up next.
GG, that's going to do it. Dark with a 2-0 over Classic. And for Classic, you had to feel for him. Getting basically the worst group of this tournament. It was a struggle, and one that Classic couldn't overcome. So we bid farewell, adieu, adios, goodbye to Classic tonight. And that's going to set up for a ZBZ final game.
And what a ZBZ, by the way, that we do have coming up, man. Sue versus Dark. This is going to be the rematch, right?
Indeed, we do get a sick rematch coming up. Don't go anywhere, guys.
Let's go to war!